So this week's video is all about forgetfulness and feeling kind of frustrated about it. Let's get started. So like I said, this video is about feeling forgetful and frustrated, and it's something that I know a little all too well. There's a lot of things that connect with memory, with anxiety, and then there's another layer on top of that, which I'll explain in a minute. So this story kind of begins last night when... Can you freaking not? So like I said before I was so rudely interrupted, this story begins last night because my mom asked me to do the dishes, and so I went to go do them, but then I totally forgot that I also needed to unload the dish rack before I could do the dishes, and so she told me to do it, and then all of a sudden my brain was just like, red alert, nope, there's too much to think about all at once, and shut down. So my brain just literally forgot how to process words correctly, and I started to feel agitated because there's only so much that my brain can think about at one time, and so I kind of got mad because I was like, why didn't you ask me to do this before you asked me to do the dishes? Like, I need to do one thing at a time. And so, yeah, we ended up getting into an argument. And long story short, my brain just totally spaced about how to process anything. And you know that other layer to memory that I was talking about? It's this little thing called sensory processing sensitivity, and it's something that I've been dealing with my entire life, but only recently I found the words to explain what it is. So sensory processing sensitivity, or a hypersensitive personality, is basically like the way your brain is connected is different than most other people. What your brain does if you have sensory processing sensitivity is that it makes you more, sensitive to sensory kind of stimuli like sight, touch, smell, hearing, like everything is amplified. Literally, one of the best kind of analogies that I use to describe sensory processing sensitivity is it's kind of like a guitar amplifier. Most people, what they intake sensory-wise is turned up to about a 5 or a 6. And so they intake some things, but not everything. And a person with sensory processing sensitivity, like me, is turned up from an 11 to a 15. So we intake everything and more. And so this makes it really difficult because there's literally so much to process all at once. And because of this, your brain tends to just shut down and omit information because there's already way too much to think about all at once. I have to explain this over and over and over again to a lot of people because, like I said, not a lot of people experience this. Only about 20% of the population actually deals with sensory processing sensitivity. And so for a lot of people, they just don't get it because they don't understand that it's literally the way my brain is hardwired makes it very, very difficult for me to process so many things at once because I'm already intaking everything I possibly can in an environment at once. That's kind of one of the big drawbacks of having this sensory processing sensitivity is that it makes it so difficult for me to remember things because I'm literally taking in everything at once. And so my brain will literally be like, nope, you're not remembering any of this today. So one of the most profound experiences that I've had with this is literally, there was one time, actually it was on New Year's, where there was just so much, the noise of the fireworks and then everything going on with my family and everything. I literally forgot the entire English language. I didn't understand words. I couldn't think. I couldn't speak, I was just like, I have no idea what anyone is saying because I don't understand this language. And unfortunately, this happens a lot with people with sensory processing sensitivity. And it gets really, really frustrating because there's nothing you can do about it. There's no cure because it's literally just your brain. It's your brain, so there's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can really do is to just try your best to remember everything, and even then that really doesn't work. And over time, once I found the words to describe kind of what my brain was like with sensory processing sensitivity or hypersensitive personality, whichever one that you want to use, once I found a word for it, I felt a lot less crazy. Like, oh, this is why my brain is the way it is. This is why I am the way that I am. This is why I forget things so much. And so it really does happen a lot, and it is still very frustrating. But once you realize kind of like what's going on, it becomes a lot easier to understand why you do the things that you do, and you learn how to accept being human. Kind of what I mean by that is like, once you realize like, oh, this is why I'm forgetting things so much, or maybe it's just you're really forgetful, like the memory of a goldfish, like me. Once you accept that, you can understand that it's okay. Like, it's a human thing to be forgetful. It's you. Like, it's part of the way your mind works, and it happens to everyone. And you shouldn't let this discourage you from continuing to try. And like I said, there's no real cure for being forgetful. You can just get frustrated. And so you gotta find ways to help yourself remember. And even then, like, sometimes that doesn't work, but that's okay. Like, as long as you keep up with those kinds of things, you can get better at remembering things. One thing I've learned and like gotten in the habit of because of this whole sensory processing thing is getting in the habit of setting reminders for yourself. If you have to physically write it down to remember it, like me, then start using Post-its, because I have Post-its everywhere to help me remind things, or help me remember things, excuse me. If you need to set reminders on your phone, like with alarms and stuff, do that. Like, whatever ways that you can get yourself to start remembering things, you just gotta do them. To conclude this video, when you feel forgetful, like me, and you forget your entire language, or you just forget to do the dishes, like I did, just remember that, it happens. You're gonna forget things, and you shouldn't let it discourage you from continuing to try doing your best. And when you get frustrated, allow yourself to be frustrated, but then use that to better yourself. Use that to set more reminders. Use that to motivate yourself to help set goals for yourself and make sure that you're on the right track. That is all for this video. Links and stuff down in the description as usual. Song recommendation down there. And yeah, have a great week, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye! Of course, just as I start recording this video, I have to sneeze. Oh my gosh, I have to get my arm a rest. It's dying.